2010 Writers Retreat Fellow in Nonfiction.
Can you hear me? Yes? Yes. All right, so I'm reading from the memoir I'm writing, which is about working in a group home with queer kids. I was a caseworker. And the person I'm going to be reading about is Chi-Chi. She's a trans girl, and the only thing you need to know is that her birth name is Baldomero. The Discharge Conference. Our agency support team and the case planner from the Administration for Children's Services gather in the conference room to discuss planning strategies for Chi-Chi. She doesn't attend. She's been AWOL from the program for days. Some of the other residents have seen her on the stroll. There are rumors that she's been staying at the Hotel Gansevoort in the meatpacking district with a celebrity. We begin to talk about her functioning during the previous 6 months in her discharge plan. Each child goes through these meetings twice a year. Most of them refuse to attend, although their participation is considered critical. They know from experience that they can be ugly, uncomfortable gatherings. Adults sit in a room and discuss their cases, offer suggestions, conflict resolutions, speak about the most private moments of their lives. Each incident still framed, dissected, picked through. I don't blame her for not showing up. The room is light yellow, maybe canary. There are pictures on the walls of sunsets, a snowy landscape, subtitled with inspirational sayings like, "Today is the first day of the rest of your life." Workers sit around a conference table and half listen as I read from the narrative that I prepared. Chi-Chi is non-compliant with program rules and regulations. She abuses marijuana and crack cocaine on a consistent basis and self-reports that she prostitutes intermittently, although staff believes it's much more frequent. She was arrested 3 times during this reporting period for prostitution and once for purchasing narcotics. The agency has made concerted efforts to engage Chi-Chi in therapy in order to address her history of family trauma and abandonment, but she refuses to comply with recommendations. Chi-Chi will be turning 21 on August 30th and subsequently aging out of foster care. She has no viable temporary housing resources and is unable to maintain employment past 2 weeks. The agency has attempted to place her in a detox program to address her chronic drug abuse, but Chi-Chi refuses. And it goes on. The details of her life imparted by dry, curt language, summing up her existence by a series of failures to comply with recommendations, exposing her tender spots like blisters. We pick, we pry, and make our fingers sticky with the mess of her life. Are there any positive role models in her life, asks the ACS worker. I can't place her accent, not exactly Jamaican, but definitely Caribbean. She's overdressed. A gold chain lies heavy on her blouse. She looks out of place. I'm suddenly reminded of when I went with Chi-Chi out in public for the first time. She drew so much attention to herself that it made me uneasy, sashaying down the street as if it were her own personal catwalk. Boys walked by and howled. "You see that?" one said. "That was a dude. Nasty ass shit." She kept walking with her chin high. The boys passed us and one spat at her feet. I pretended not to notice, just buried my hands deep in my pockets, searching for some change I didn't have. The only adults in her life are from this agency and the tricks on the street, I say. There's little recourse, the executive director says. The only thing we can do is set her up with long-term drug treatment. She's knocked down all other attempts at permanency planning. Despite the canary walls, the room seems dark. The ACS worker scribbles down her notes. Her nail polish is immaculate and loud. An imitation jewel is centered at the tip of each nail. She starts to make recommendations for Chi-Chi, although she's never even met her, doesn't even have a clue what she looks like. She talks strategy and planning, bank accounts, job referrals. She calls Chi-Chi Baldomero, and I know she doesn't get the difficulties of planning for her. I want to explain that finding a job for Chi-Chi has obstacles that a typical client doesn't have to face. An employer takes a look at her, then glances at her state ID, Baldomero. Then, "I got nothing against you people personally, but we don't want to make our customers uncomfortable." I want to explain that the lure of the stroll is more than just money. It's the only place where Chi-Chi feels accepted. For a brief moment in the arms of a trick, she's no longer a freak. She's desired. I look at the wall, the pale canary. The worker keeps spewing out words that have no relation to Chi-Chi. Family resources, secured employment. She might as well be discussing stock options, summer homes at the Hamptons. I imagine where Chi-Chi could be now instead of this meeting. I picture her in a room near the piers, maybe with 2 other trans girls. They've scored enough rock to get them roiling until the sun crashes into Jersey. Only a blowjob apiece, $50 a pop, 30 minutes out of their day, and they can blaze until their brains ignite, filling their lungs as the world fades away, leaving them to forget all the things they never wanted to be. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Hallelujah. Finally, she stops talking. The meeting is over. I make my way down the stairs and push past the door.